Hi, everybody. Welcome into UnAnchored Boston with Bob Lobel. I'm Mike Lynch, and as always, we're brought to you by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're in New Hampshire, of course, by the great George Gray. The big wheel at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. Well, the biggest event on the planet is going on, and one guy, our guest, is right in the middle of things, Butch Stearns. He's in a busy schedule. We're not going to waste time with small talk. So, Bob Lobel, you are on the clock right now with the intro, Bob. Take it away.
I don't mind. Butch is going through World Cup hell, and I wanted to hear all about it because it looks like he's in the war room right now down in Foxborough at Boston Stadium and all the crazy stuff that's going on. But this is like a 24/7 deal for you, Butch. You're a lucky guy. How much luck could one guy have covering the World Cup 24/7?
You know, whenever I come on with you guys, just because it's the three of us together, I try to think before we start going down the rabbit holes and telling stories, how many of them are really going to be interesting to people, or how many are going to be just us bitching about stuff going on? So somewhere in between there, let me ask you guys a quick question. Just in general, you've covered so many major events, and this is a major event coming to New England, right? So it's a big deal. But what are your thoughts about the World Cup in general? I mean, you guys fans? What do you think about the World Cup?
For most of my career, I've always been a neutral guy. I could care less about it. But I am so excited because of all the pageantry. The game is almost like the seventh or eighth thing that I'm attracted to. It's all that goes with it. This Tartan Army, who I never had heard of before and have been watching ever since they arrived in town, has me absolutely spellbound. I mean, this group of people came over from Scotland, and they brought one thing with them, F-U-N, fun. And it shadows them wherever they go. And you can see it. More importantly, it's palpable. You can feel it as well.
Well, they also E-E-R.
But they ran out.
Bobby, how do you feel?
Well, you know what? It's really growing on me because there's a guy that works downstairs in the little corner market where I live, and I asked him if he was excited about the Cup, and I thought he would be. He says, "Yeah, he's from Cape Verde, and who knew, And it was just like all of a sudden I'm rooting for Cape Verde,
Yeah.
They get that great tie, Spain. So and then I can't wait for the USA Australian match on Friday. So I know it's just kind of creeping into my whole brain, like Mike.
So I'm on the exact same page.
There, but it's creeping in. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, you do.
The audio's bad. I couldn't hear if you were finished.
Shut up, Bob. Bob, shut up and let Butch talk.
I'm on the same page with both of you guys, like here. But from our perspective, I think we're similar in a lot of ways, and one of them is we get into the business because we love sports, but we also love the stories, right? And the World Cup has it all when it comes to it. Mike, you just said the Tartan Army. I mean, I just did 4 hours on TV this morning on our station because this match is on all game long. The Tartan Army today, on top of touching every bar and overtaking Fenway the last couple of days, is going to enforce the Horizons for Homeless Children's Center, not only to go there to hang out there, but they are playing the bagpipes in their park, and they're making a $1,200 donation to the school. This organization is not only about FUN. They're organized. I sat there and watched them in the stands last Saturday night, and they were somebody's giving me a dirty look because I'm in the media center. Screw them. But anyway, I sat them and watched them in the stands, and you guys have seen this. We've gone to Super Bowls and everything else, and put this in a Yankees-Red Sox perspective, meaning a game at Fenway or a game in Yankee Stadium, right? You would never see this. So as the game unfolded, as the match unfolded, there's Haitian fans who are exuberant, and there's the Scottish fans. All through the game, after the game, when they stayed and sang for like an hour, they're hugging each other. They're like there's a respect for each other. There's a nation upon nation thing that's only rivaled in the Olympics. On top of that, I heard later that night or the next day, they made a donation to the Haitian Relief Fund. So if we're all about the sport stories, it's hard to ignore the largest sporting event in the world and what's going on when it's right in your backyard. And I'm not trying to ignore it. It's just from our perspective in the business, it's exhausting covering it. It's like a Super Bowl every day or every match. And, at least the Super Bowl.
You have no sense of how big FIFA was until you see what FIFA in action. FIFA apparently controls the world. I mean, there's Russia, there's US, there's Iran, there's everything else, but there's FIFA. FIFA runs everything. They're probably the richest entity in the world, and the way they've orchestrated this, it's remarkable. I mean, it's totally beyond, as Mike said, the pageantry, the organization, the advertising, the spaces, the way they've changed the stadiums, the power that they have is unbelievable.
There's no question about that. And I think you got to tip your cap to them that they put this on every 4 years. However, we know in their history they've been very corrupt. And I'll also give you one story from, by the way, you guys would love this new Patriots Media Center and field right behind it. It's amazing. But I was talking to the security guy last week, and I think he's Colombian or something. He spoke broken English. And he says to me and my cameraman, Walt, we just had the meeting yesterday. I go, what meeting? Well, I guess FIFA came down and did a meeting with the team, and the team dealt with all the security guards. And he's telling us this story. He goes, well, for example, look at my sneakers. They are Nike. He says, I cannot wear Nike. I need to wear New Balance or Adidas. So I say to them, you want me to wear New Balance? You buy me New Balance sneakers. Walt and I were cracking up. You got it, pal. So you're right, Bob. They rule the world. No Pepsi machines in here. All taken out.
Of course. It's just, you're on FIFA or you're on board or you're nothing.
Right.
So, Butch, physically, where are you right now, physically?
You know the Empower Field House where the Patriots train? That's where I am right now. This is what they made the media center. And they really haven't changed the stadium. Well, they've changed it immensely, but the structure of the stadium hasn't changed. This became the media center. Actually, the Revolution have an unbelievable training center all the way down the end there. And I just talked to Brian Bilello, the president, today, and he was telling me that when the matches are here 2 days before, both teams come in, like Norway and Iraq are coming in. No, not Norway and Iraq, Scotland and Morocco, because they're playing on Friday. They're coming in tomorrow, and they use their whole facility. They have to get out.
Because Norway and Iraq, what you're playing tonight. So you got that, right?
What's that?
Norway and Iraq are playing tonight.
Yeah, Norway and Iraq tonight. Here's what I learned about them today. And you talked about the Tartan Army, Mike, that I never knew about either before. Well, here's what I learned today. So do I have that note paper? I think I'll remember it. So the relative Tartan Army for these two teams are, for Iraq, they are the Lions of Mesopotamia. That's the name of their fan group. And for Norway, they are the something to do with Vikings.
Fjords?
No, I don't forget what it is, but the row they do is called the Viking row.
Oh, the row, yeah.
Yeah, the Viking row. But similarly, I'm expecting this atmosphere to be similar. I don't know if it'll reach the level that the Scots have taken it to, but we'll see. We'll see what type of match. And by the way, you know, the biggest knock on soccer for the North American sports fan is who wants to watch a 1-0 soccer game? If you really watched that match the other night, there was action up and down the whole time. There was really good scoring chances, even though neither goalie really ever made a save. You know, they kicked it right into his chest. I mean, an unbelievable save. So I'm not trying to defend soccer. You're either a soccer fan or you're not. You know how it is. The soccer people stuff it down our throats at every turn. It's going to take over America. I'm like, yeah. No, it's football, not football in America. Sorry.
So have you seen Bob Kraft get a front row seat like he did at the Knicks game, or this?
At the FIFA games?
Yeah, I mean, Kraft. Have you seen Kraft like he showed up at the Knicks game? And
no, I didn't see him on Saturday night. That was the first match. And by the way,
a big enough event.
By the way, Robert Lobel, Mike Lynch can tell you this with authority also. When I first got hired to do the Revolution games, and you work around here, you don't call him Bob. You call him Robert.
Right. Well, I call him.
I'm just telling you. You get right, Mike. You get told that. I mean, at your own peril, you can call him Bob.
Fine, Bob. I'll stick with Bob.
Have you learned how to play the bagpipes yet, Butch?
No, I have not. I have not. Some would say I'm a big bagpipe of my own anyway.
And why don't you hang some up in your office because you don't have room for your clothes? You can hang the bag.
Yeah, I know. Well, I might be living in my office now, so who knows?
No, have you interviewed any media members from any of the countries that are down there?
Oh, it's crazy. It's mostly soccer people, but in all the local news stations. Again, the fact that it's in our backyard is really cool. I was actually working in Detroit in '94, so I did cover 2 matches at the Pontiac Silverdome back then, and I remember covering Italy, and their biggest athlete then was Roberto Baggio. I remember.
No question, he wore number 10, and he played for Italy when they won the World Cup. I remember being in the North End at the time. It was all about Baggio.
Yeah. Well, I was saying today when we've got this young kid, Julian Cardillo, and he didn't know anything about TV a year ago, and now he's an expert. I hope a network picks him up. He's so passionate about soccer. So he's talking about the striker for Holland, who's on Norway tonight. He's one of the greatest players in the world. There's no question about it. He's Mbappe. He's Messi. Not yet because he hasn't won a World Cup, but he's won, whatever you call them, regional championships over there. He's 6'5". He's a monster, but he has the touch of a Wayne Gretzky in hockey. And I said, well, describe him. Give me a comparison. He goes, he's Gronk on a soccer field. And you're going to see him tonight facing these guys. And so there's a storyline. And Norway, by the way Julian explained it to me, and I love how his analysis is, he goes, listen, you know how in any sport there's a team that's hot coming into the playoffs and nobody wants to play them? That's Norway. I'm not telling you they can win it all, but they were 8-0 coming into this, and they scored 37 goals, more than any other nation coming into this. So they're hot. And the tiebreakers come down to total goals. He goes, if they have a run on their heels tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to beat them 10-0. So you got one of the greatest players in the world playing in Gillette Stadium, Boston Stadium tonight, and you got, a team that could surprise and could get to the Final Four or could get into it,
Mbappe, you're going to see Mbappe at the end of the month.
Oh, my goodness. I saw him on the friendly against Brazil, and I said to Julian, I said, to me, what makes Messi special in my lifetime is similar, not identical, but to guys like Bobby Orr, Larry Bird, probably Tom Brady too, but I mean, Orr and Bird, for example, you didn't want to miss a game because you might miss something you'd never seen before, right? Especially with Bird. I mean, they'd go on that West Coast trip. You had to stay up late and watch those games. Well, Mbappe showed me that in that friendly. He came streaking down the right side, and he went to slam the ball, and he just stopped on a dime to the point where the goalie came running out. That's exactly what we want him to do. And he just chipped it over his shoulder and went in the net, and he walked on like he meant to do it, which he did. And it was like, what the hell did he just do? I mean, the great athletes are the great athletes. I think you can appreciate them in any sport. And we got a lot of them coming through this stadium and in New England for the next month.
Butch, I have one of my daughters lives in Walpole, and so Saturday, her husband, the 2 little boys, went down to Foxborough, drove right down, no traffic, drove right out. I heard Maria Stefanos on Channel 5 last night, who lives in Foxborough. She said, I had to get something at Patriot Place. I drove right down, no traffic, I drove right home. Is that the case, or is it?
Well, think about this. That game was Saturday at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
This game is Tuesday at 6 o'clock. The next one is Friday at 6 o'clock. So the fans coming down here, the traffic getting out, they might have the same experience after the game. But if you were planning on coming down here, say it's a 6 o'clock game for 4 o'clock, I'd leave at 3. It's Tuesday. You're not dealing with Saturday traffic. You got people coming home from work on Tuesday. So, I don't know if I gave you the right answer, but that's just my perspective on it. We did hit after hit after hit with traffic. We had the guy from MBTA on, and not MBTA, the travel secretary, Gulliver, and he made a lot of good points. He's like, give yourself some time, man. Why get stressed out?
Butch, I have to ask you this. Lynch, I have to ask you this too, because you're the better. Channel 5 was the beneficiary of this. How jealous were you when ABC had the NBA finals and the NHL finals. I would have been so pissed off at Channel 4 to have surrendered those kinds of numbers to Channel 5, just because Channel 5 did nothing to get the numbers except carry those games, the NBA and the NHL finals. To me, that was unheard of. Unheard of.
Every other night. You know, all we had when I was there was Little League World Series. I mean, we had nothing else. We lost the U.S.
I would have been beside myself. It's Channel 4 watching this stuff on Channel 5 night after night after night, you know, knowing them gloating about it, and then us sitting there in grumpy.
Well, I'm going to give you my honest reaction. It's not
I do want to hear your honest reaction to this.
It's not that I don't care as much about the success of my station like I should and like you guys did before, but let Duke Stiglione stay till 1 a.m. when I can get home and go to bed at 11:45, okay? Every single night. That's my reaction.
You know what? That's healthy. That's probably a much healthier place.
Well, when you get at my age, you guys know you're looking for every ounce of sleep you can get.
You know, when the Celtics played the Knicks in 1984, we didn't have seats at the press table, so they had put me, Newmeyer, and I think Dino right under the basket. We just sat with our legs crossed right under the basket. I mean, Bernard King right into our lap. Now, you know, they put the media in, you know, nosebleed section. What do they do here? Does your pass permit you to get into one of the?
You don't even want to hear about the pass thing here. No, they put us in what is a made-up auxiliary press box, 300 levels. I sounded like a pompous royalty guy when I was just in we have a beautiful box. We have a broadcast center because we're Fox, and it's awesome. But everybody's in there, and they said, "Hey, where are your seats?" I went to go up in the press box. No, we're not allowed in the press box, us peons. I said, "This is what I said." I said, "You know, ever since the stadium's been open, I don't think I've ever been up to the 300 levels." And they go, "Oh, excuse me." I go, "Well, when I come to concerts here, I buy good tickets, and when I come here, I have a press pass. Why am I going up there? I'm not going up there to sit up there." So,
how disruptive has it been for Fox TV? I don't mean in a negative sense, but for you to do your nightly sportscast or whatever you had to do based upon the schedule.
The simplest way to answer that is we're not doing anything normal. The schedule changes every day. So, for example, there's only 7 matches, right? And that's over 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But 7 matches in Foxborough. And this is the second one. So we have 5 more. So on these days, it's balls to the wall. So I didn't even know this. Last night, they told me, yeah, you got to be at the station at 8 a.m., you know? And so I had to be live with Kerry Kavanaugh from 10 to 2 here.
You live there, so it isn't a big deal, but you live there.
Yeah, I'm looking for my closet right now with my clothes hanging out. But Kerry Kavanaugh did it, and that was after Gene Levanchi and Nicole Gabe got here from 6 to 10 to do their show this morning up at the Heart. So last night, when I came down there and I was live for the 4, 5, and 6, I reached out to my great executive producer, Mike Sullivan. I said, Sully, I got to do Look Lives tonight. I decided to go to the sports museum. I thought I'd see yesterday Bob golf tournament up in Haverhill. And I had to leave at 5 a.m. And, you know, that's a personal thing. But I got Ian Thompson talking about a possible Giannis trade and some other guys. And then I went straight here. And I'm like, Sully, I can't work till midnight and be here at 8 a.m. I just can't do that anymore. He's like, yeah, no problem. Crank out the Look Live. So I did. So that's just maybe some inside stuff for people. But it is exhausting. But, you know, the station expects you to be all in. And we all have to be, not only because they're our bosses. But it is local sports. I mean, live sports on TV, I would argue, is the only thing or the main thing that makes local television stations money now, because they can get new advertisers and other advertisers. But it's really the only thing. So our station's going to make a ton of money on this. The numbers for the U.S. match against Paraguay were through the roof in Boston. They were the second largest in the country. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they send me out to L.A. if the U.S. starts advancing. You know, but we've been there before. We know how that goes.
You know, I would have to say of all the nations that were here in '94 and so far that have been down in Foxborough. The most entertaining I've ever seen are the Scottish people, and they've got what is it? The Flower of Scotland? Is that the
yeah? That's their anthem. Yeah.
The guy on last night, and when they won on Saturday, he said, "This, without question, was the greatest night of my life, and that includes my wedding. And you can tell my wife I said so as well."
Well, think about this too. I mean, we all lived through there'll be nothing like it, the '04 Red Sox, right? And we saw the Cubs win the World Series. They're not the Cubs of that, but this is the first time they've been in the World Cup since 1998. So it's 28 years. And by winning their first match, and also, in the brackets, you got to just get out of that first bracket in advance. By winning, they got 3 points. Brazil tied Morocco. They're now 2 points behind them. And Scotland plays Morocco here in Gillette on Friday. If Scotland beats Morocco, they're a virtual lock to move on to the next round, which they've never done in their history. So, again, they're not the '04 Red Sox yet. But, I mean, that's a story, right? That's a storyline for them.
How much time do I have with you, Butch? Because I want to put in this commercial just in case I run out of time.
Go ahead. No, we're not going to run out of time.
This is really good. You have to be part of this, Butch, because what better place to have an RV camper than in Foxborough right now for Butch Stearns and TV 25. Why would you not have your own RV camper? And I know it can be overwhelming. Pressure, fees, pushy salespeople.
Where would I get that RV camper, Bob?
You know what? Let me go there, Butch. Thank you for asking. But I would suggest Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Where?
Ware is in Ware, New Hampshire, and WEARE. It's west of Goffstown and St. Anselm's College and Manchester, where Hannah, the new intern for Jim Burke, came from, Manchester, New Hampshire. She knows where Ware, New Hampshire is. North of Tingsboro, my friends Jackie and Donald live. And then it's WEARE. Don't worry, I'll find you. It's different there. It's not the same. No pressure, no gimmicks. Open campers. You can go in there. You can take a nap. It'd be perfect for TV 25 in Foxborough.
Yeah,
you could live there. Carrie can have her own camper. I wouldn't suggest it. Whatever you might think I'm suggesting, but Carrie can have her own camper. Levanchi certainly will demand his own camper with a star on it. And so they're family owned. You get honest answers, real help finding the right fit for you. This would be a perfect fit. And they got time. You guys have 5 weeks down there. It's going to snow before you leave Foxborough. And so there, Cold Springs RV, where your camping journey starts right away. ColdSpringsRV.com. I can't make a better pitch for Cold Springs RV than you. I'm trying to help both of you, and hopefully I have. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, you did a great ad there, but I was worried about you going off the rail ad.
Bob never goes off the rails.
In this generation, you know that we can't say anything about anything without offending somebody, right?
Of course,
right. I can't do it. So when we started the show today, Carrie and I, the first segment, we immediately, our prompter went down and we had nothing. And we start talking, and Carrie starts ad-libbing about the grass behind me. She goes, I was watching them cut the grass. Look at how beautiful it is. What are they going to do with that grass? And I go, I don't know, smoke it? She lost it. She goes, and we're up and running here in Foxborough.
There you go. You've offended somebody already, and you haven't even started the show.
But marijuana is illegal. I didn't say anything to offend anybody.
All right, so we're gonna follow up that commercial. We always do. We're gonna let you have the Lobel Lynch cruiser for a week, but in your case, Butch, we're gonna let you have for the duration of the World Cup.
Ooh.
And every week, you're gonna have to kick out one person and invite a new person in. Now, you don't even have to know who the person is. You can tell me.
Mike or me on this one, okay?
So wait a minute, I got to pick 5 different people to be in the Lobel Lynch cruiser for a month.
Yeah, but you don't have to know them. They can be from 5 different countries. Okay, so I want to go with somebody from this country in week 1. Then week number 2, I want to have riding shotgun somebody from this country. Blah 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 blah. So name 5 countries where you would like to ride with a representative of that country.
Oh, name the countries or the athletes?
You don't need. It doesn't need to be an
Well,
athlete.
it would be Argentina and Lionel Messi. It would be France and Kylian Mbappe. It would be Erling Haaland in Norway, the Gronk of that's playing tonight.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, no, Butch, those guys are going to be on the pitch playing. You just have to pick not a player from that country, just a fan from that country. What 5 countries?
Like a member of the Tartan Army would come.
Yes, there you go. There you go. You're catching on.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it easy for you. I want a different member of the Tartan Army for all 5 weeks. How's that?
That's pretty good.
That gets me out of it too, right?
Perfect. Because I think I'm with you 1,000%. The more I see these guys, the more I just am falling. I laugh at every single interview that's being done by a member of the Tartan Army. And I'm thinking of something like, Attila the Hun or, some brutal medieval group. But the Tartan Army, as you said earlier in this broadcast, some of the nicest people on the planet. They're charitable. They help people out. They put smiles on people's faces. And they have wiped out at least a half a dozen bars of every single drop of beer that they have had.
Yeah, they had what was it? Who was it? Not the L Street Tavern. Somebody just came out and said they sold 3 times as much as they did on St. Patty's Day.
St. Patty's Day, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lynchy, why don't you wear a kilt?
Why don't I wear a kilt?
Yeah, we'll just wear it next time.
Would I? Then the question is, would I wear a kilt?
You probably look good in a kilt.
Yeah, I look good. But my knees are still a little. But yeah, I would wear one.
Let us.
I didn't have to be a dare.
Let us judge that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I would wear a kilt.
Hey, I wanted to bring up a point because I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple other things. But as far as the World Cup, keep this in mind. Because we have a unique or a closer perspective to it than if it wasn't being played here now. And I think a lot of people are like us, where they were probably here, but you can't help but get caught up in it. And if you watch the matches, it is like playoff hockey, but not yet, because they get out of the brackets and then they get to the knockout round. Then it's the NCAA tournament. It's one and done. And then they move on to the quarterfinals and then the semifinals and then the final. Of the 7 matches here, after the first 5 at Gillette, there's a knockout round match. So you get the intensity of that when you're in the final 16, I think that is, or 8 or whatever it is. It gets down to 8, I think. And then the quarterfinal, one of the 4 teams that's going to be one of the 2 teams that's going to play in the semifinal will come out of that match here in Foxborough. The team, maybe France, the team that's going to win it all.
Maybe France.
Yeah, and whether you're a fan or not, you can't watch a match like that with the intensity of it and not feel right. You just can't. It's going to be.
Once you got to that point, every shot on goals means something.
Right, but it's also historic. There's kids that are going to grow up and they're going to be, remember 2026. So
I just say that you got to read this much first of all, because you never really get away from world politics. But it says Iran coach says the team is ordered out of the U.S. right after their 2-2 draw with New Zealand. So you can't really sometimes separate sports from politics, because Iran has already been kicked out of the U.S. soccer. The soccer team has been out after their 2-2 draw. Now, whether they'll be allowed back in or whatever the story is, I don't know. But it sounds so sad and so crazy to me.
Will they play in Canada or South America?
Or
Mexico?
No, I think they're on SoFi right now. They're playing in SoFi, Los Angeles.
Right.
I was thinking of that the other night when I was watching the Scottish fans and how they reacted with the Haitian fans, and just there was disrespect for each other. It put politics aside. Not that Scotland and Haiti have any history. I don't know if they have any history with each other, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, we remember the '80 Olympics and the movie Miracle when you got the phone call. We're playing. Everybody's playing. The Russians are playing. Remember with the hostage situation, they didn't even know if they were going to play. So that's another thing that makes something like this amazing. They do put politics aside when they get to the pitch, when they get to the field.
Hey, Butch, can people come down and just hang around Foxborough without a ticket?
Yeah, but honestly, one of the good things FIFA's done is, when you go to a Super Bowl and they do the Super Bowl experience, or
You
whenever
tell
when
the guy behind you puts to shut up.
yeah.
Oh, right behind you, Butch. He's right behind you.
He's really.
No, that's the guy speaking over there. He's
Over there?
Accreditation, which we just mentioned. If you have any issues with that,
Help it, crying out loud.
He just gave you a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll give him this. How's that?
okay, so for pitch movements.
But you were talking about, can you come and hang around here? There's not a lot. I mean, there's this place better than anybody, Mike. It's Patriot Place, and you could still get in there. But I mean, they built a fan fest like the Super Bowl experience in Faneuil Hall, I believe, and it's down at Government Center, and it's downtown, and it's a great place to watch.
Yeah.
That place was filled with Scottish fans, the ones that didn't have tickets to the match. And I believe they're serving booze there till 3:00 in the morning. Some bars are, so.
I want to ask both you guys another question. This is off the subject that we're talking to. And Butch, I'm really glad you were able to join us, because this is exactly what I was looking forward to, and looking forward to exactly what happened with you and talking about this. But the death of Eddie Andelman, I think it's affected all of us in so many ways. And I just don't want this show to go by without us talking about Eddie and what he meant in the Boston sports scene, because he was the king. He was the most creative, funniest guy that, ever. There'd be no Foxborough right now if it wasn't for Eddie Andelman as a raceway.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
I mean, I'll start because I want to hear your guys' stories, and I'll be brief. I remember listening to you, Mike, do Red Sox postgame on the radio. I think it was on WITS.
Yep.
Didn't you do it? And I remember listening to your post games, and I called once and never got through. But I got through to Eddie once, and he just destroyed me, and it was hysterical. And then my other Eddie story, there's two other ones. One, when I was at Channel 68, you remember, Bob, Eddie was very good to me. I was doing Red Sox, and we hadn't started my nighttime show, Sports Night, then. So Eddie was doing a football show that he paid for himself at an independent station, and he asked me to do it for him, and he paid me. And I went to every game, and I put together a long story, and I came back in the studio, and we taped something, and we used it on his show. But Eddie was such a unique guy. And the other story, this is one that's very interesting. When I got out of college, I knew this is what I wanted to do, but it took me a long time to get there. But I was doing play-by-play for Stonehill College basketball, and they had a contest. The CBA did a contest in all major markets. The winner of the whole thing got to be a studio host for whoever had the CBA network then, so whatever. But I remember going into the Westin Hotel, or the one where Champions was there, Marriott, whatever. Marriott. And I remember going into a room, and you had to audition. The room had 8-foot tables, one down there and one down there. Dennis Johnson was sitting there. All these people were sitting there, and I came in, and you had like 30 seconds to do play-by-play. I did like 10 seconds, and they put me in the end pile because I was doing play-by-play, and I was good at it. So anyway, I ended up as one of the 10 finalists, and each of the 10 finalists got to go on with Eddie, Mark, and Jim on the Sports Huddle for this show where, they did one every half hour. So I come on the show, and I sit in the chair, and we're in a commercial break, and nobody says anything to me. And Mark and Jim give me a look. Hey, how you doing? I'm Butch. So Eddie comes out without even looking at me, and he just says, Butch is a good sports name. It's not as good as Vic. He's not talking to me. He's talking to them. And they talked for 15 minutes about the best sports names, and he never even got me involved. And so finally I chimed in, and he gave me a look like, yeah, shut up. You speak when you're spoken to. And so I spent 20 minutes there, and honestly, I was so entertained. I was terrified what he was going to say to me that I said to myself, I want to do this more than ever. I really do. So in that way, Eddie was a mentor to me in a lot of ways. And I remember watching him. It was must-see TV when you had him on for lots of reasons. Him and Will McDonough, Bob, went on Sports Final. They would go at it with each other, and just Eddie was a cartoon character. But you're right, there is no sports radio in this entire country without what Eddie Andelman did. He was the pioneer of it all.
Yep, without question. You know, he was kind to me when he didn't have to be kind to me. He gave me opportunities when I hadn't earned the right to be given opportunities. He just seemed like he was always looking out for the guy who was looking for a break to get in the business. And if you appeared on stage or on the radio with Eddie, I mean, you went from like single A baseball to the New York Yankees. I mean, that's what happened. And I felt that throughout my career. We did a wrestling match in 1985 over at Matthews Arena. It was called Wrestling for a Cure. And he had little Joey O'Donnell, who passed away in '86. And I was like the mean Gene Okerlund. So I had to, like, you know, stoke these guys up. You know, and Eddie was just off to the side with Killer Kowalski. They were the play-by-play team. Eddie play-by-play. Killer Kowalski was the color man. And then afterwards, we all went to a function room next to Matthews Arena, catered by Kowloon, of course, and all the wrestlers who were pounding each other's brains in. You know, all were sitting there, you know, drinking Mai Tais and eating spare ribs and saugus wings. And I can't say enough good things. And that hot dog safari he did for the Joey Fund, I mean, he had it at Suffolk Downs one day. There had to be 50,000 people there eating hot dogs. And he got every hot dog manufacturer in the region to come and bring their hot dogs. You know, was it Colonial Franks? Was it Oscar Mayer? Whoever it was. And all the money would go right toward the Joey Fund with the cure for cystic fibrosis. He was one of a kind.
Remember, he talked about professional wrestling. Remember his joke with Andre the Giant and in the restroom in the plane?
No, what did he do?
No, I can't even go there. If you don't remember it, I'm not going to remind you of it. Just was something about Andre the Giant couldn't fit into the men's room on the plane. I don't know. It was an Eddie Andelman.
What I remember the most about the Sports Final was when Will called him out when he said that I was speaking to a couple general managers, and Will just jumped all over him live, right? And he goes, "Oh, what general managers are you speaking to, Eddie? Give me a break. You're speaking to general managers. You haven't talked to Eddie." Like he just called him out on it. But a question I had for you is, they did respect each other, didn't they? Eddie and Will?
I think they absolutely did. I think Will loved his humor, and he was really good. Sean was on our show. We had that picture. I don't know if they could put it up, but it was with Sean McDonough, Dan Shaughnessy.
Yeah.
That one. Put that with the Sean McDonough, Dan Shaughnessy, and Eddie Andelman. I mean, Jesus Christ. Sean McDonough, the greatest hockey play-by-play announcer in the world. Shaughnessy, the best sports columnist in the world. And there was Eddie Andelman, the greatest sports humorist in the world. And who the other guy was, I don't know, but that's what it was.
Were you guys ever that young? Look at that picture, man.
Shaughnessy hasn't changed a bit.
Well, all I think of in that picture for Dan is Carl Everett called him curly-haired boyfriend.
I know. Can you guys remember the great feud that Eddie Andelman had with Jack Craig of the Boston Globe?
I do not. Do you, Mike?
Oh, my God. Lynchy, you remember, right?
Yeah, you bet I did.
What was it over?
Well, Jack always criticized Eddie. Eddie hated being critical of Jack Craig. They went on the radio together. They had this great debate on EEI. I'll never forget. No, I was 128 listening. I know exactly where I was when it was on. It was Eddie and Jack Craig. Lynchy, you know about that feud, right?
Yeah. That's when TV critics mattered.
I know.
Yeah, no.
I remember just a little sidebar story, Bob, that you taught me something. When I had the blow up with Schilling on the radio, remember Steve Silva did that website Dirt Dogs?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the headline. So I led Sports Center. Susie Colbert read the story. I have a tape somewhere of it. She goes, "Well, in Boston today, Kurt Schilling blah, 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 with local sportscaster Butch Stearns, and he said something about Pedro and Schilling weren't friends, and this was it. And boom, they threw to it. So anyway, Steve Silver on the next day on Dirt Dogs, the headline was Butch slap instead of bitch slap. So
Good.
so then, Glenn had me on the big show more and blah, blah, blah. And he did a survey of the most top 10 hated Boston sports personalities. I think you remember this. Glenn Ordry was number 1. I think you were 2 or 3. Michael, everybody loved you so much. You weren't on there. So this wasn't a knock on you or anything. But I was like in the top 5 after the Schilling thing. So I came in, you were at an event some night, and I come walking in, and I'm dragging my ass, and you go, Butch, hey. He goes, what's the matter? And you go, don't tell me it's that survey. Did you see how many people voted? It was 552. You know who those 552 people are? They know who your name is. He goes, I would prefer to be liked, but I just want them to be, I want to be watched. I want the guy that thinks I'm an asshole to pick up the clicker and say, I can't stand that Lobel. Let me see what he's got going on tonight. Like, you taught me this valuable lesson about you'd be preferred to be liked, but you'd rather be remembered. Like, you don't want him to hate you. So take that as a compliment. And I felt better until I got home, and then I was like, oh, people hate me.
I remember that, but I remember saying that, I'd rather be hated and watched than not at all.
I remember I might be paraphrasing, but you said to me, I know that everybody doesn't like me, but I want the people who even don't to pick up that clicker and say, I can't stand Lobel, but let me see what he's saying tonight. Right? And that was Jerry Callahan. That was Howard Stern. That was anybody that was polarizing for whatever reason. At least they knew who you were. And it's a fine line from like Felger. Today, people say, Felger. This is what I hear all the time. I can't stand Felger. Did you hear what he said the other day?
You remember, like their opening line, Felger. Felger, I hate you. That's their opening line on the Felger show, right? Felger, I hate you, Maz. You're such a boob. It's such a.
So back to Eddie.
The other thing about Eddie, when Eddie called you, you didn't say no to Eddie, not because you had to say yes, but because you wanted to say yes. Anytime he called you for anything, he said, "Sure, Eddie, Mike, I got this crazy idea. Do you mind meeting me at Kowloon? We'll do this little thing Thursday night at 7:00." And I said, "Sure, Eddie, I'll be there." And I had no idea what he was doing. And then I walk in, he's got like 1,200 people there. We got he would make something up. The hot dog safari. Remember, we all go back to the Sports Huddle days when he called Buckingham Palace looking for a couple of guards because the Patriots didn't have any guards that could block for anybody. He
got Superfoot.
Yeah, Superfoot. Yeah, they were looking for a kicker.
And then
that's right.
Then he called Don Zimmer. The nickname he had for Don Zimmer was Chiang Kai-shek.
Oh my goodness. Kirk Minahan I saw a little clip of it, a really nice tribute. You can find what I saw on Twitter, but I'm sure it was a podcast with more about it. And he gave him like the ultimate compliment, a backhanded compliment. He said, Eddie was making phone calls and making these ridiculous claims that nobody could check right away because the internet wasn't around. But you didn't care whether he was right or not because he was so funny about it. He would pick up the phone and he would make a phone call and get somebody on the phone.
He hated the Bruins. He hated the Red Sox. He thought Fenway Park was a dump. He thought Fenway Park was, just for tourists that came through once a week. And every fan thought it was a dump. And this was all before it was
This wasn't an incident, but I could say this about you two guys too. Eddie was one of the guys that when I finally got back to Boston, it was in Channel 68 when I came back, and you and I were friendly then, Bob and Mike. We were getting to know each other better. But Eddie was one of those guys when he came to the station and he took me under his wing. I mean, I think we're all in the same boat. I always had the confidence that I could do it, but it's hard to have confidence when you don't have the job. or it's nobody gives you a
Opportunity.
shot, right? Yeah, opportunity.
Opportunity. That was Eddie.
That was the word I was looking for. But when Eddie gave me the opportunity to be part of that, I felt even more confident because it was him that was giving me the opportunity. It almost felt like the little blessing, you know? And again, I always had the confidence that I could do it, but I wanted to do a good job for him because it's not that he wielded that much power in the market, which he did, but to me, it was more about, again, I felt confident. Oh, Eddie believes in me, you know? And so I'm sure he did that for many people. I know I did, and I hope I did. I know you guys did. I mean, Bob, you did it for me. You used to, you know, the first time I had a Patriots guy cancel on me, I complained like to you the next day or something. You said, hey, just call me when the guy doesn't show up. I can go right down the street and I'll come and I'll do it. And you did my show like a dozen times before, and then you'd go back and do the 11-20 hit that you had to do for sports.
Okay, so we're back to soccer. So let me ask you this. Tell me the difference. Tell me about yellow cards and red cards. Okay, and then tell me about additional time.
That. I'm
just asking. These are legitimate.
I still don't know how they figure out
mystery time.
Yeah, that's what it should be, Mike.
Mystery time.
I have no idea.
Tell me about yellow cards and red cards and additional time.
I will say this. When I got hired in 1999 to do play-by-play for the Revolution, I had no idea about soccer. My partner to start out was Adrian Healy, one of those wonderful guys I've ever met, a true footy, born and bred in soccer. He's on ESPN now. And my first match that I did, if you go back and listen to it, I was like icing, offsides. I had no idea. The soccer community hated me. So Adrian says, I'm going to take you out for a pint, Butch. I'm going to teach you things. So the first night he taught me through ball, what a through ball is. The next match, we were in Tampa. I remember Carlos Valderrama, 40 years old, with the hair flying all everywhere. Every time he passed it, I said it was a through ball. He goes, you're getting better, but not everything's a through ball. So, but what I did learn about soccer, you can talk about red cards and flopping and all this stuff. It's a very physical sport. And this is the only sport that guys run for 90 minutes. I mean, it is. I gained a great respect because we traveled with these guys, and it's a very physical sport. I don't know why they flop. It's just part of the game, you know?
It's like basketball.
They don't call it practice either. They call it training, right?
Yeah.
Training. They have all kinds of – the field. This isn't a field. It's the pitch. It isn't nothing. It's nil.
Yeah.
And, I haven't heard about yellow cards and red cards yet.
I just asked Julian. Julian was sitting with us, and I was asking him, and I was dead serious about this. You know, what do they call the beginning of a football game? Kickoff, right? And Fenway, it's first pitch. So I said to him, you know, when they drop the puck, I said, what is it in a soccer match? He goes, it's kickoff. I go, it's not first pitch? And he couldn't stop laughing. I go, what do you mean? That sounds so stupid. They play on the pitch. It's the first pitch. Like what? He goes, you know, it's so stupid. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. He goes, it's a kickoff.
One more time, I'm going to bring it up. Yellow card versus red card.
I have no idea, Bob.
Why did you just say that to begin with? That would have been fine. You have no idea, yellow card, red card, and you're sitting down in Foxborough? Okay, then I can't imagine you tackling additional time.
If I had to do the guess, a yellow card is worth half as much as a red card, or penalized, because if you get a red card, you're out of the match. If you get a yellow, you can't get another one, and they're kicked out. It's like a double technical.
And why do they wear those vests over the uniform?
I don't know. That's another good question.
Jeez, can you tell me about additional time? Damn it, that's the last time I'm going to ask about it.
Mystery time.
You won't get any more additional time.
Mike is absolutely right. It's mystery time, meaning nobody knows how it's calculated. Nobody knows who's calculating it, and nobody knows how long it's going to be, but it's usually something that surprises you one way or another, like fouls called in a basketball game. There you go.
Well, for something so important as the World Cup, you think they'd have this nailed down.
I don't think on our audience anybody's asking me about how mystery time is made up.
Butch, I want to share something with you, Butch. Well, we were trying to get in touch with we were trying to line you up and for today. So I Googled. I said, name me a sports reporter from Scotland that is here in Boston to cover the World Cup. So I got a bunch of names. So there was the name of this a woman called Natalie Pike. So I went to hashtag blah, blah, blah. It said send message, send email. So her agent got back to me and said, yeah, that'll be very interesting, Mike. So at 3:08 p.m. this afternoon, said, hi, Mike, can you confirm if there's a budget for her appearance on your podcast?
Right.
I said, no, there is no budget because we get Butch Stearns and we get a better guest than Natalie Pike. Although she's better looking than you are, Butch, we're glad we had you, and you fit our budget perfectly when she did that.
Jim hasn't got my bill yet, so we'll figure it out.
Not ours yet either.
Hey, I do want to ask you guys, just we can keep it real short if you want, but are you torn about the Celtics possibly trading for Giannis, or do you want it to happen?
I want it to happen.
I would drive Jaylen Brown to the airport.
Really?
Yep, I'd be right behind him with a spare tire.
So is it more that you think Giannis gives them a different dynamic and puts them over the top, or it's time to break up Tatum and Brown and get rid of Brown?
Both. I think he puts them over the top. Look at the teams that were in the finals. All right, both of them had a driving force in the middle. Karl Anthony Towns and the big guy for San Antonio. I mean, when was the last time we had somebody that was just in the middle? And it's been what 10 years they're playing together, these two guys, and every year there's a different reason why they haven't won the championship. Now I'll never get over Tatum not playing in Game 7, but that's another story for another time. All I can think of is John Havlicek with one shoulder against the Knicks in '73. I keep thinking of Dave Cowens cracking his face on the floor, Larry Bird cracking his face on the floor, Willis Reed limping out, Derek Jeter going into the stands when Nomar wouldn't play in the game, and I put Tatum in that category this year. But that's a story for another time. Let's get back to World Cup. Bob, I don't know what the red card means, the yellow card. I know what how about a green card? How many people do you think in the stands have green cards?
Well, apparently not the Iranian team because they were kicked out of the country.
Oh, my God. I got to tell you one thing last about the Giannis thing. I was at the Sports Museum golf tournament at Renaissance up in Haverhill yesterday, and Rusty asked me to do the auction in between because they have one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and they had like 6 things to raffle off. So they had 4 Celtics tickets, and Jeff Twist was in the room, the longtime Celtics PR director and director of communications now, and there were guys bidding on the. And right before I did the Celtics bid, I said, "How many of you would want Giannis Antetokounmpo on the Celtics? Just raise your hand and want to see Jaylen Brown. How many of you don't want to see Jaylen Brown get traded?" And no, I said, "How many of you?" Whatever I said, only one guy raised his hand. Like everybody in the room was behind Jaylen Brown. They respected him. I was like, wow. I was blown away. It kind of blew me away because I thought the public perception of him might be. I mean, it made me think I should probably do a poll and see what we get for results of how people feel about Brown. Maybe he appeals to this younger generation because he does speak out about issues that other guys won't speak out about. And maybe they just saw how good a potential he has. Would the Celtics have been able to trade Jaylen before this season for Giannis straight up? Probably not, even though he won the finals in the NBA Finals MVP. I'm just saying, I was surprised that the majority of people, almost everybody in that room, no, we don't want to see Jaylen Brown go.
That surprises me, but it's just not how I feel. But that's just me as a stupid sportscaster. I mean, I don't know any more than any other regular fan, so I'm just a regular fan on this. I would want to see Giannis here and Brown not here. That's just the way I feel about it.
Well, I'll tell you what Ian Thompson said.
And I would be the one dissenting vote in that room.
I'll tell you what Ian Thompson said, which when I went back and looked on it on tape was really smart. He said, I would not trade Jaylen Brown unless I could get Giannis. And then he went on to say, I said, but you know what the Brown-Tatum duo can do, and it still makes them one of the best teams in the league. Don't you have to think really long and hard about what Tatum and Giannis?
You said one of the best teams in the league. It makes them one of a half dozen, maybe 8.
Okay, all right, but we know what it is. It's a known quantity, right? And you're going to break it up. My question was, don't you have to think long and hard if you're going to make this trade about what exactly, how they're going to work on the floor together, Tatum and Giannis? And he said, yes, you do. He goes, and you're probably going to have to take a year to figure that out. He goes, but I think this is where the NBA is going now. He said, I think you have to have, because of the three-pointers, all teams are been relying on the three-pointers. He goes, and I want to get the Celtics away from that, and this would do it because you'd have more of a mid-range game and more of a low presence down below that you haven't had in many, many years, like you guys said.
Butch,
So I thought he nailed it.
Yeah, didn't Brown say this was his best season, most happiest
Yeah,
season? You know, without Jason Tatum.
Let guys say what they do. I'm not defending Brown, but I mean, we've had some of the stupidest athletes in this town who are suddenly the greatest people in the, greatest athletes in the world. I don't know. I don't think this is so much anti-Brown. The real question should be, do you want Giannis? Is he going to stay healthy? I mean, how long is he going to play at 31 years old? He's got a lot of miles on that body of his. Jaylen Brown keeps himself in unbelievable shape. And I'm not talking myself into it either way. I'm just torn. That's my answer. I'm torn about it. If you're going to give a guy up like Jaylen Brown, I mean, man, I would prefer if Giannis was a little younger, I mean, Brown's been in the league 9 years, Tatum 8, I think it is, and they're still in their late 20s,
I know, but you know what? Brown's got a lot of verbal baggage going along with him, and I don't think it's team building conducive. But that's
we get Giannis, Channel 5 with all the exclusives because Maria's Greek and Giannis is Greek. And Maria will have the inside track to every.
She gets any exclusive she wants.
Hey, let me get a word in for our good friend George Gray. If you're thinking about a new vehicle, go with Lobie, Lynchy, and we're going to make Butch go there someday too. Go see our good friend George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. We've been customers for years because we know that George Gray will treat you right. They're a family-owned and operated dealership that we trust and you can trust as well. Go see the big wheel, we call him, George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. And you really ought to buy it from George this year because this country is turning 250 years old in a couple of weeks. And George Gray his dealership has been there ever since the Battle of Lexington and Concord. And they will be there for miles and miles to go.
Okay, good job. Butch, I can't thank you enough for making time. You and I, this was a back and forth that we had to try to schedule this, and I'm really glad you were able to do it.
You're welcome, and thank you guys for having me as always. We tried last week, but I was leading up to my dad's Memorial Golf Tournament, which was the 39th year, and it was exhausting.
Brookline, right?
It was a good day?
In Braintree, but it was exhausting. Yeah, it was exhausting.
Same thing. Brookline, Braintree, same thing.
Yeah, right. Me and Larry Bird. Yeah,
hey,
so
if
I didn't know what my schedule was going to be like until this started, and then it did. I looked at it and I go, "You got to be kidding me! You got to be kidding me!"
Well, if you see Natalie Pike down there, tell her that you got the you got the big dog today, and so she's.
I'm just going to take like a wad of 20s and start rolling it out in front of her face. This could have been yours. All right, guys. Thanks.
Natalie. It's always been about Natalie.
It's always a Natalie. All right, Butch. Thanks so much. Right. Butch Stearns, the great one from Boston 25. For Bob Lobel and Mike Lynch, make sure you follow us on UnAnchoredBoston.com and make sure you follow us all the time on YouTube. Bye, everybody. See you next week. Bob, I'm glad.